The Heat took on the Rockets on Saturday and did the unexpected, or maybe it's the expected at this point, winning a game against a team over 500 for the first time in over a month with strong performances from a number of players. And Wes, maybe Kevin Durant would have been happier had it been traded to Miami instead.
Your guess is as good as mine as to what makes Kevin Durant happy at this point.
You are Locked On Heat, your daily Miami Heat podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Heat, your daily podcast on the Miami Heat, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Whether you're tuning in on YouTube or your favorite podcast app, thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Join the Cookie Gang and become an everydayer. That means subscribing, tuning in every day, Monday through Friday, and signing up for the Everydayer Club with the link in the show notes. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel. Play your game. I'm Wes Goldberg, host of Locked On NBA Daily and Real GM Radio. I'm here with David Ramil. Both of us are credentialed Heat media members who cover this team every day, recording this on a Saturday after the Heat's 115-105 win over the Rockets. It's their first win over a team with a winning record in more than a month. Their best win in a very long time. We're going to hand out credit cookies and talk about Spo's decision to play Bam and Ware together in a second. But David, what was your takeaway from this one?
Just Miami withstanding a pretty solid effort from the Houston Rockets. I think they were down early, then they came back and took a big lead, and Houston came back, and I think I was expecting Miami to crumble, and we've seen that from this team before. So just watching them play with the kind of poise, the kind of urgency, and something that we've talked a lot about recently, given their two most recent losses, being able to come up with big shots and big stops in the fourth quarter, something that they have not done very well. And so I think when you tie it all together, it's not their best win of the season, but it's a pretty good one for a team that has struggled to find good wins against good teams. And even though the Rockets were playing their 6 games in 10 nights, as the broadcast crew mentioned quite often, I think Miami did show a pretty good effort overall without Norm Powell in the lineup as well, given that Tyler Herro was starting again for the first time in quite some time. I think it was a really great effort overall from a team that just desperately needs to find ways to win and have that kind of sense of urgency much more consistently over the next 19 games of the season.
Weird game. You mentioned the kind of weird flow of this one. For people watching on YouTube, I'm throwing up the flow chart from NBA.com on here. It just tracks the leads. It's a seesaw, man. It's like a roller coaster. It's just up and down, big lead. Like both teams getting double-digit leads at points during this game. The fact that Miami was able to hang in despite all of that, battle back, lose a lead, battle back, come back, stay back, and then go on that final run and push at the end of the fourth quarter. It was the type of resilience that we frankly have not seen from this team in a very long time. And the other thing that stood out to me in this game was the attention to detail, right? We talked about this after the last 2 losses. Miami needs to win these margin battles, or really, maybe the better way to say it is not lose outright these margin battles in order to give themselves a chance. They're not a team with elite star power that could basically just play a bad game and still win because they have some apex superstar that could just carry them to a victory in the fourth quarter. They didn't outright win any of the margin battles that we always talk about in this game, right? Offensive rebounding, turnovers, but they didn't get beaten badly in any of those categories either, which allowed them to just make enough shots without having to feel like they had to fight an uphill battle in this one. And against a Rockets team that does struggle to make shots at times, that's a winning formula in this game in particular. But what really stood out to me was that they dominated the area around the rim on both ends of the court. They scored 66 points in the paint. That is so many points in the paint. 66 points in the paint. And they allowed Houston, defensively, they allowed Houston to make just 14 shots at the rim. Miami made 24, so 10 more shots at the rim. Rockets fans might look at this box score at the end of the game and point to the fact that Houston went 9 of 36 from 3, and that's why they lost. That's not why they lost. This game was decided in the paint, and Miami dominated. They got to the rim offensively, and they protected the rim. It was one of the best defensive games I've seen from this team in a very long time.
Yeah, Houston, not a very good team defensively. Like, they've definitely lost that part of their identity. Over the last couple of seasons, they were slowly building that, and Ime Udoka had definitely infused that team with a emphasis on defense, but they've lost some of that this year. And obviously they're going through their own injury issues and things of that sort. but they were pretty porous in the restricted area. And it just felt like whether it was Andrew Wiggins or Jaime Jaquez or Pella Larson or whomever, it was just able to attack consistently in the painted area, get those looks pretty easily. And they didn't have any kind of rim pressure at all on the Houston side of things. So good for Miami being able to capitalize on that. And I think they did a really good job defensively. Like they allowed Kevin Durant to get 32 points, and I say allowed, but they really couldn't stop him in the same way that nobody really has been able to stop him over the course of his career. He was dialed in. He looked really phenomenal, as great as he ever has, and they did a really good job of trying to make things much more difficult for everybody else. And so in that sense, they were able to allow Kevin Durant to get those points, but they did a pretty solid job of keeping everybody else from getting it going. Alperen Şengün, an all-star level player, he struggled from the floor as well. He was just 6 of 14 for 13.
Bad.
Yeah, so that was a really big, I think, pivotal matchup that Miami was able to dominate.
The Bam versus Şengün matchup, I think, is what tilted this thing Miami's way. Şengün was bad on both ends, and Bam was really good, I thought, on both ends of the court in this one. And look, Houston couldn't make a bunch of threes. That's going to happen. But this is a team that's not really built to make a ton of threes, right? If Reed Shepherd struggles, they kind of don't have any three-point shooting, right? Outside of Kevin Durant, obviously. Even Durant was 2 of 8 from 3 in this game. He wasn't great. I like the point that you made about Durant they kind of did just allow him to do they didn't double cover him a ton in this game. They weren't sending help. Right, it was a lot, and that was the fact. And they were like, "We're kind of okay with Pella Larson defending Kevin Durant on a lot of these possessions," and they were just going to live with it. And Durant was looking at Pella and just like, "Really, this guy? He's 6'4", 6'5". Like, he just shot over him over and over again." But it's a little bit of, maybe I have the untrained eye, David, but it's a little bit of allow Kevin Durant to be a scorer and just let him be that, and kind of take Houston out of their flow. I thought it was a really good game plan by Miami to not send help to Kevin Durant very often and just say, he's going to do what he's going to do. We don't really have anybody to defend him anyway, especially after Wiggins had to leave a big part of this game after getting hit in the face and getting stitches in his mouth. He comes back and had a really nice dunk in this game too, so he gets a shout out here. But I thought it was a really good game plan. The other thing that stood out, they looked really disjointed. Houston did. Man. Really disjointed. And they've had a weird season. There's not good stuff coming out of Houston lately. Weird rumblings. That said, they won 3 games out of the All-Star break, 3 games in a row, and they've wobbled it a little bit since then. But what's that saying? It's like, as bad as you think your thing is, never overestimate how bad it is for the other team on any given night in the NBA. I'm botching the quote, but you know what I mean. It's a thing that people say in the NBA, and with Houston, it really does feel like whatever Miami's dealing with, Houston might have a worse case of it because they look disjointed. Miami looked totally in sync in this game.
Yeah, I kind of made the joke at the start of the show about whether or not Miami should have acquired Kevin Durant. Obviously, it wasn't up to them. But, KD, he didn't expect to do this. Like, he was joining a team with Şengün and a veteran and Fred VanVleet, and they were going to get all these young up-and-coming players who were going to find a way to thrive there, and he was just going to provide that veteran leadership. And he's carrying a much bigger load than I think he expected to. And I mean, there have been tense moments over the course of the season.
Yep.
And that's partly because, Kevin Durant is generally a kind of sour guy. And would he have been happier in Miami? I don't know. That's a tough question because his happiness seems like it's almost unattainable. But maybe he would have had more balance, I guess. He wouldn't have had to have carried such a load. I'm not sure. I'm not entirely sure if things would have been any easier for him in Miami than they would have been for this particular version of the Rockets team. But
it feels like he would have been starved for like a Norm Powell on this Houston team. The VanVleet injury really threw a wrench in the Rockets' plans here. But Reed Shepherd's been good at times for them, but it's too much to expect of him. Kevin Durant is 5th in total minutes played this year.
Huh.
I don't think if you would have asked Kevin Durant, do you think he'll be 5th in minutes played this year? You'd probably like, probably not. I'm 37 years old. Nope. They need him. They need him on the court because they have 0 offense when he's on the bench. And that was very evident in this one. He was a +5, which wasn't, phenomenal. But, you look at my Houston's other starters. Amen Thompson was a -18. Şengün was a -18. Tari Eason was a -15. Reed Shepherd was a -3. He was the only starter with a positive +/-. So it wasn't just the bench that played well for Miami, and it did, but it was also the starting group just dominating Houston's. Really nice win for the Heat overall, obviously, and one that they badly needed. A lot of guys get credit for this one. We're going to talk about credit cookies and hand them out after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. March is the time to celebrate women, especially around International Women's Day, and to recognize just how much they carry at work, in relationships and families, and in all of the unseen roles that they step into every single day. It's easy to celebrate women's strength, but it's just as important to make space for their emotional well being. And therapy can be one way to do that. Look, I don't have to look too far. Just my mom, at this point in her life, I've seen her go through the ups and downs. The way that she's always been the steadying presence in our family when the kids all left, or when my dad's gone through different health issues, with everything that's gone on over the course of our time, the weight that she carries as a woman and as the kind of the centerpiece of this family. It just seems like it almost, there are moments there where I wonder whether or not she can handle it all. But she's shown such incredible strength when she's tired, when she's gone through a long day, when she has to come home and clean or cook or do any of the things that she was expected to do over the course of her life. She needed support, and they deserve it. The women in your life do deserve it. Therapy can help create balance and offer a space to focus on themselves. With over 30,000 licensed therapists and more than 6 million people served worldwide, BetterHelp makes getting started simple. You fill out a short questionnaire, they match you with a licensed therapist, and if it's not the right fit, well, you can switch at any time. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/lockedonnba. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/lockedonnba. We'll be right back.
Thanks for making Locked On Heat your first listen every day. Being part of the Cookie Gang and becoming an everydayer comes with some great perks, including ad-free shows. Plus, if you join the All Access tier, you get even more, including, this is the best part, text message updates like running game notes, injury news, and transaction rumors around the trade deadline, draft, and offseason, all sent directly to you via text. You'll also get a chance to text us questions for post-game shows like this one. If you're interested in being part of the Cookie Gang and joining the Everydayer Club, tap the link in the show notes or head to lockedonheat.supercast.com to learn more. Wow. It's another Miami Heat win, which means it's time for the tastiest segment of Locked On Heat. It's time to hand out some credit cookies. David, we have 10 of them to give out. Where do you want to begin?
I'm going to start off with Tyler Herro, jumping into the starting lineup, obviously, with the absence of Norm Powell, who is week to week with his lingering injury issue. So they're going to be without Norm for quite some time. Hopefully he's able to bounce back before the end of the season and able to kind of cement what it is that Miami's doing. And you wonder whether or not the roles will be reversed, where maybe Norm will be the player coming off the bench at some point. But Tyler, I think, did a really good job reinserting into that starting lineup, getting into a little chippy interaction with Kevin Durant.
Let's go. You a bleep.
Apparently he called him Burner Boy. I don't know if that's authenticated or not. I really did see that report. He called him Burner Boy. I don't know if that's really
said Burner
really
Boy. A number of not so nice names that start with the B.
Yeah. So that would have been interesting there to see how those two wound up being teammates. But I guess
they did dap it up after the game. I do want to just, at least if we're gonna put the facts out there. But I love that moment from Tyler Herro early in the game. Some real chutzpah there. Just, I thought, really set the tone. I love Norm Powell, right? Like, Norm Powell is steady Eddie. First 7 seconds of the shot clock, you can always depend on him to make a quick decision. We love Norm Powell. He's an all-star. What Herro brings, though, is that fieriness. There's an edge to Tyler Herro, right? That I think we don't talk about enough, but has been evident since, the bubble, right? Since he was snarling in the bubble. And I do think that kind of helped set the tone in this one, right? Because Houston wants to come in and they want to kick the snot out of you. That's their deal. They are going to try to set that as sort of the tone of the game. And the Heat generally don't allow that to happen, but I really like Herro as, the small guy in the starting lineup, kind of standing up to an all-timer in Kevin Durant. I don't really know what was happening other than sort of jawing back and forth. I didn't see any really tough shots or anything like that. He just I'm not going to take your bleep. I'm just going to I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about you and your burner accounts right to your face.
KD seems like the type who just kind of says something, not necessarily muttering under his breath, but kind of just as he walks away, just letting everybody know, look, I'm Kevin Durant. I mean, you're not going to be able to stop me. So I'm just going to let it be known, whatever I'm thinking, I'm just going to say it because at the end of the day, I'm Kevin Durant. You're not.
There is an air, like KD and LeBron are similar in that they'll do trash talking, but if you trash talk
Sure.
to them back, they are almost aghast. Like, do you know
How
who
dare
I
you?
am? Like,
Yeah.
you think you could trash talk me? And it's like, dude, we're all on the same court. We're all in between the same lines. Like, you're gonna trash talk, we're gonna trash talk.
Yeah, the ultimate NBA Karen right there. Look, Tyler Hero, I think he had a great game. That moment there was really good, and he kind of just flicked the switch a little bit for him, and he really just seemed like he was a little bit extra engaged. But he had some really nice shot making there. Just 2 of 4. Didn't take a lot of shots from the 3-point range, but was able to knock down half of them. But in the paint, the floater, he had one
Yes.
floater that was so soft that it didn't look like it was going to fall through. Honestly, I thought it was going to be short, and it did kind of just rolled around the rim gently, and then dropped through. And I was like, okay, he's in his bag. He's feeling it, because when he puts up a shot like that, he's got that shooting touch going. 8 of 12 overall from the floor, but he also had 3 assists, 2 rebounds, a steal, 4 turnovers, so not great. But to finish with his 18 points, they were very important for Miami to be able to sustain those kind of impact, those game-shifting momentums from Houston, etc. Tyler was very, very steady in his production, and while it wasn't great, I still think it was deserving 2 credit cookies.
So he's 6 of 8 below the free throw line in the paint in this game.
Yeah.
And that has really become, and I want to be measured in what I'm about to say here, and I don't want people to take this the wrong way, but that zone has become the zone of the superstar player, right? It used to be the mid-range, the long mid-range. Like, those are the days of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade. Like, the superstars of superstars were allowed to take those 17, 18-footers, and they made them at enough of a clip that sort of has shifted now. You look at guys like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Nikola Jokic, Luka Doncic. These guys dominate with that float range, like 3 to 10 feet area. You look at their percentages; they're all shooting over 50% in that range. They're shooting essentially layup efficiency without having to get layup distance, right? They don't have to penetrate to the rim that much because defenses play that way, right? They're going to protect the rim at all costs. They're going to give up those float range things. You talk to players around the league, the floater has become maybe the most important shot that they want to work on now, other than the 3-ball. And Hero has put so much work into that floater. And I love the shot that you mentioned there. Like, it was in the air forever. It finally bounced on the rim, and he kind of just does the thing, and everybody's like looking like what's his in Space Jam, where they're kind of looking at the ball and it kind of on the golf course, and then it finally goes in. That's kind of what everybody was looking at there, and it was a great shot. And for Hero to hit that stuff again, I'm trying to be measured in what I'm saying here. I'm not calling Tyler Herro a superstar, but he was hitting those superstar shots in this game when the Heat needed it.
Absolutely. And you know what? You mentioned it earlier. I'm going to move on here and talk about Bam Adebayo. 9 of 17 from the floor for his 24 points. 3 of 6 from the line, so not great efficiency there, but 3 of 5 from 3-point range. What's the chances? If you had asked this early in the year that he would shoot better from 3 than he would from the free throw line, I would not have believed it, but there he was. Also going along with 11 rebounds, an assist, and a steal, and a block, plus 16 on the floor, the highest for any Heat player. He was great. Look, the minutes with Kel'el Ware, we'll talk about those later in the show, but there were moments there where Bam was clearly the best player for Miami. He was great. His 3-point shooting ability was such a big part of it, but he was defending well. He was doing everything that he could out on the floor. And you know what? He was being aggressive and looking for his shot. So after saying that he didn't want to be in the play-in tournament, he played the way he should have. He carried this team with his production on the floor. So kudos to him. 2 credit cookies going to Bam.
Well said. I have nothing to add there. He was best player on both. Best two-way player in this game.
Yeah. 2 credit cookies going for another starter, Pella Larson. 6 of 12 from the floor. 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Did Pella get hit in the face? Yeah, kind of a couple of times, I think. But really, really solid game from him. Taking on every defensive matchup, whatever it was, being antagonistic, being physical. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, doing everything really out on the floor. 20 points. That's a really solid level of production from him. And I really liked his game because he continues to be that kind of connector, just a guy that does all these other little things around the floor. He was bringing the ball up. He was creating plays for others. He was just making things happen offensively. Really, I liked when they were using him in the post against Reed Shepherd. Kind of an opportunity there for him to kind of put Shepherd in the blender a little bit. Didn't work out as well, but it was a matchup that I'd like them to continue to explore over the course of the season because he is a little bit bigger and more physical maybe than some guards out there. So when you get a matchup like that, smart of Erik Spoelstra, I think, to put Pella in that situation where he could take advantage of that down the road.
It's a great observation. They're letting this guy loose. This guy's a good basketball player. We're done with second round pick, Who is this guy? This guy is essentially cemented as a starter now.
Yeah.
He's a connecting piece. He's a multi-positional player. They play him at both forward spots right now.
Yeah.
And it's sort of he had like the opposite game of Herro, right? Where I was mentioning all the float game stuff with Herro. You look at Pella's shot chart, it's all at the basket. He's using his muscle. He's a great cutter. We talk about it all the time. He's great in transition, very opportunistic. He does stuff, right? Like this guy sees open space and eats it up. And I love that from Pella. He's similar to Jaime in that way, where if you're going to let me get as close to the rim as possible, I'm gonna. Like, I'm not going to mess around out here. If you're going to let me get to the basket, I'm going to do that. And he gets as close to the basket as possible, uses his strength. He's underratedly strong, I think. I love this game from Pella, man. And the 20 points is obviously a big reason why. He goes 1 of 5 from 3-point range, so he goes 5 of 7 from 2-point range. And again, all of that stuff, most of that stuff rather, at the basket. That is exactly what you want from your role players, right? Starters or coming off the bench. That's exactly what you want. Let guys like Bam and Herro and all these guys sort of do the mid-rangey kind of things. You're a role player. Find easy shots. Make easy shots. Play off of these other guys. Pella is an expert at it. We can have a bigger conversation about Pella at another time, but we're going to have to about like where this guy is in terms of the hierarchy, in terms of, best players on this Heat roster.
He's absolutely.
How many cookies did he get?
He gets 2. Everybody in tonight's game gets 2, to be honest with you. So I've got
easy for me.
5 more players there, or 2 more players to get him. Jaime Jaquez Jr. is next, 7 of 12 for his 14 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Really solid game from him. Again, the production was what made all the difference. I think he had a couple nice defensive possessions. He was being used in different ways too, being used as a primary ball handler, as we've seen throughout the course of the season. It wasn't his best game, but it was a solid game from Jaime, and I think it was deserving of that kind of credit because, honestly, I thought Davion Mitchell was really good, but I thought he was a little bit of a liability out there. Right? And I don't know if it's still a lingering injury issue or anything like that, but he was going under screens. He wasn't fighting through the same way that we've gotten accustomed to Davion being out there. And so I think the minutes from Kasper Giannis, he only played 12, so he wasn't really solid either. But to have Jaime as your ball handling option there, I think was a really beneficial thing for Miami. And again, kind of just showing that Miami's depth is one of their greatest, if not their greatest strength this season, is being able to use all these different players as good as they are in different kinds of ways. And for Jaime to be productive with his scoring and his efficiency, although he was only 0-1 for his
58% overall, though, and like you're getting that production, you're getting that efficiency off the bench when Tyler Herro is moving from the bench to the starting lineup. That was really important. Jaime is clockwork, dude. This guy is going to get you 12 or 14 points every single night coming off the bench. It's why he's one of the favorites for 6th man of the year. Last one, I think I know where you're going.
Kel'el Ware, you got to give it to him. 29 minutes on the night, so he definitely gets an uptick in his playing time. 6 of 10 from the floor, but 15 rebounds to lead the Heat. A number of tip-ins, really aggressive, one-handed rebounds, going up for it. This is the kind of production that I think has to show Erik Spoelstra, you know what, this guy is getting it. And I don't know. We don't know at this point. I'm sure Spose probably asked about it after the game. But just the way that Kel'el responded when his minutes have been so up and down, and you never know what you're going to get from him necessarily. But today was really one of his stronger games. Very aggressive around the hoop as well. Finished with a couple of nice dunks, tip-ins, like I said. 1 of 3 from 3-point range as well. 1 assist, too, and a block. So just really, really good numbers from him. We'll finish with 13 points, but it was just very impactful in his nearly 30 minutes of play. So I really liked his game. And playing alongside Bam Adebayo for extended minutes, both of them played very well together.
We're going to talk about more of that next. Kel'el Ware, well deserving this credit. I just love the physicality they played with. The 5 offensive rebounds is what stands out to me, creating those second chance points, especially against this Houston team, and not allowing to get beat for offensive rebounds against a Rockets team that really wants to spam that part of the box score. Like you said, we got some planned Bam and Ware minutes in this one. We expect to see more of that going forward. We'll talk about why after this.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. College basketball is nonstop. Big games, tight spreads, momentum swings every single night. From early tip-offs to late-night West Coast shootouts, there's always action on the board. And now FanDuel is giving you a way to turn that energy into even bigger potential wins with a college basketball parlay profit boost. You can build any college hoops parlay you want. Rivalry games, ranked matchups, whatever fits your read. And then you can mix spreads, totals, player props to match how you see the slate playing out. And then you just apply the profit boost and instantly bump up the potential payout. You just look at the odds around your team if they're in season, and then you go safe or go bold, ride with the team you've been following all season. It's your choice, your parlay, your style, now with more upside behind it. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com. FanDuel, play your game. Today's episode is also brought to you by Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Workplace chaos, deadlines stacking up, inbox overflowing, and the one position you have to fill still sitting open. When the pressure's on and you need the right hire, this is a job for sponsored jobs. Indeed Sponsored Jobs help you reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for: skills, experience, location. So you're not just hoping the right candidate stumbles across your post. And here's a stat that says it all. In the minute that I'll be talking to you, companies like yours will have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who check all your boxes with Indeed Sponsored Jobs. Spend less time searching, more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Less stress, less time, more results. When you need the right person to cut through the chaos, this is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying that's Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions do apply. Need to hire? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Locked On Heat. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Let's go to our questions from the Cookie Gang. You can submit questions for the post-game shows by joining the Everydayer Club. Tap the link in the show notes to learn more. This question comes from Jonah, who writes in, do you think Spo closed with Bam and Ware to match up with the Rockets' size, or might this be more of a regular thing? David, yes, right? Maybe yes to this question, to both parts of this question. We have seen Spo find time, planned time for Bam and Ware more recently, right? We've seen it in the first halves recently. We've seen it now in the fourth quarter in a couple of games over the last week. I do think that Spo is trying to find time to get these guys on the court together. And now against Houston, a good excuse, right? Because you want to match up with their size. You want to make sure you're not getting beaten on the boards. But it's not as if this Rockets team, and you alluded to this earlier, has been crushing the board. Steven Adams going down has really hurt them in that area of the floor. I don't know that they necessarily needed to do that in this one. And that said, I think Spo found time for Bam and Ware. Ware played really well. To your point earlier, like, he played with physicality. He deserved credit cookies in this game, and I think that's why he was able to stay on the court. If Ware doesn't play as well earlier in this game, maybe we don't see it as much in the fourth quarter. But I do think now it's been a couple of games in a row that we've seen Bam and Ware on the court together in the first half. Yeah. A little bit more extended time in this one than it was in the last game, and I think that's the right decision by Spo. That gives at least an opportunity for Bam and Ware to prove that they deserve minutes later in the game. So TBD, but I like where this is trending.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think with anything Ware related, though, it's all kind of it's working and trending in one direction until it isn't. So it's hard to tell exactly given how Spo has managed his minutes. But with Ware playing the way that he did and showing continued improvement, steady aggression, etc., I think it's definitely something that they're going to use much more frequently over the course of the season. At least that would be my guess. If you're going to start incorporating, look, I talked about it. I think going into the All-Star break, one of the things that we wanted to see is, you know what, lean into it. These are your players. You've got to make that choice here. You know, Kel'el is who he is, and you want him to get better and better. You want to be able to use that advantage that he creates because of his size and length and things that he does out on the floor. You've got to be able to play him out there as much as possible. If that means combining with Bam or not, I think you've got to be able to figure it out. And this is your future, so why not figure out what you've got now rather than wait until it's too late and decide, oh, wait, maybe I'm not sure if he's fitting our long-term goals or et cetera, or whatever. So, yeah, I like the minutes, though. I think it was great. And I think to the question's point there, I think it wasn't necessarily to combat Houston. Like, I don't think Spo necessarily operates that way, maybe to give them a slight edge, but also just showing one of our strengths, you know, kind of thing. Like let's put a guy out there that we know is aggressive and playing well and have him out there and putting him alongside Bam Adebayo, who, you know, you're always going to get consistent effort from.
Two more questions that are sort of related here from William. It really does seem like these guys have the talent to win games against playoff teams. Are we doubting them too much? Is it if it is just inconsistency, what is it that keeps them from being consistent? Is it the talent isn't just good enough to sustain winning, or is this a coaching issue? Related question from Malachi. After a big win against a good Rockets team, can this give them a boost to make a push out of the play-in tournament or not? I'm not sure. I'm not so sure until I see more consistent play. We're back to the matter of consistency, David.
Yeah, it's going to keep popping up. Because I think to the original question, like, this team is better than what they've shown. I think that's the case, but they are so inconsistent. And I know that it's a word that we've been mentioning a lot lately because you just fall flat so frequently. And so it's kind of hard to know exactly what this team is capable of, because while I think they have those heights, they have to have them sustained for a long period of time. And that's just not the case, whether it's due to injury or just flat effort or a number of different reasons. I don't think it's coaching. I mean, I think we can be honest in saying maybe Erik Spoelstra hasn't done a great job this year, or hasn't done a lot of maximizing what this roster has given him, because I think it's a fairly well-constructed roster. It just lacks superstar talent. But there have been some decisions, particularly when it comes to Kel'el Ware, that are a little head-scratching there. And I think it's not necessarily been the biggest problem of the season, but it hasn't helped making this roster reach their full potential, at least not in my opinion. So I think I'm not sure. Like, if you were to say what this team is capable of in the playoffs, I probably wouldn't be optimistic, just because we haven't seen anything. Now, to Malachi's question, if they're able to play like this over the last stretch of the season and continue to put up these kinds of efforts where they show a sense of urgency and they come up big in fourth quarters and they knock down those shots and they play the kind of impactful defense that we saw tonight late in the game, sure, that's fine. Then I'll be much more of a believer going into the season, because I know that they'll have figured something out. I'll be maybe a little differently than what I would have expected, but you know what? At least there's that effort, and I know that the talent is there. Just it's missing superstar talent, and that's definitely what you need heading into the playoffs. Like, you definitely need that star that you can go to, particularly on offense, and Miami's lacking that.
Yeah, I'll start with the last part of this. I don't think this team can win a playoff series, but I also think that they could be better than getting swept by the Cavaliers. I think they're somewhere in between what they were last year and just flat out winning a playoff series.
Would they win against Detroit in a 7-game series?
The Pistons will crush them.
Sweep, or would they win a couple games?
I think Miami can win a game. I don't see them winning against any of the top 3 or 4 seeds in the East, like a series. But I think they'll be more competitive than they were against Cleveland in last year's first round. So that's where I think this Heat team is. I would push back and say, like, if you told me that this Heat team with this roster, with Tyler Herro missing as much time as he did, would be top 15 in offense and top 5 in defense, I would say, wow, that is maximizing this roster. I actually do think Spo has maximized this roster. Yes, the Kel'el Ware stuff has been head scratching, to use your phrase there. I'm not really sure. But also at the same time, like, you know, the production wasn't necessarily always there for Kel'el. Like, we got to be fair on both sides of this. And you know, we could do the chicken or the egg thing. Was he not productive because of Spo? Was Spo benching him because he wasn't productive? Whatever. But I look at this team and I'm like, I don't think it's super talented. I think they've dealt with a lot of injury concerns over the course of the season. Top 5 defense, top 15 offense. That's kind of amazing to me that they were able to kind of generate this team, those stats from this team. So we'll see. I don't think it's really a coaching issue. I think it's a talent issue. I've been on that all along. The superpower is consistency. I'll keep saying it until somebody listens to me. The superpower is consistency. That's why the elite players are the elite players. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander has the most 30-point games this season, right? He doesn't have one 50-point game. He doesn't have one 80-point game. It's not like that. He has the most 30-point games. He goes out there and just scores a lot of points every single night. It's why he's the front runner for MVP right now. Consistency is a superpower. Elite players have it. The Heat don't have that elite offensive player. That's a roster problem. But overall, this is kind of where I expected this team to be, kind of on the bubble of the 6th seed coming into the season. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for tuning in today to Locked On Heat. Make sure you subscribe and follow Locked On Heat so you get all of the latest episodes. If you never miss an episode, the Everydayer Club is built for you. Join the Cookie Gang and get Locked On Heat ad-free. Plus, members-only Discord access and a whole lot more. Head to LockedOnHeat.supercast.com to join the club.